Hi, everyone. My name is Richie Messiah. I am the founder of A Father's Truth, the co founder of Lies Ruin Lives, and a leading voice in the worldwide rally for family law reform, which is taking place on April 24th at family courthouses all over the world. Now, today I am releasing a little TikTok series that I've entitled The Silver Bullet Stories. Now, if you're not familiar with the silver bullet is, this is a tactic that a parent uses which enables them to usually get ex parte hearings by filing false allegations within the family court systems. And they obviously get custody, and now you're entangled in a family court battle and sometimes criminal battle as well. So that's where the silver bullet stories really takes shape, is that I know that there's thousands of parents out there that have dealt with the silver bullet themselves. I know that I'm not the only one, but if my story can help somebody come forward, not have that fear that they're not going to be believed or that they're the only ones, then these stories are necessary. So my story actually begins, and I'm going to actually have to break this up into a couple of parts. So this first part I've entitled The Journal. Now, my story really begins on August 6th of 2019, but I have to rewind a little bit for it to really make sense to you guys. So I first initially separated from my ex-wife in March of 2017. It was just a breakdown in the marriage. There was a lot of back and forth talks outside of who should have been talking. So I decided to leave, and I got into a relationship with somebody that we knew. I take accountability for that. I can step up to the plate and say, yeah, I did that. But that's not why we're here. We're here because of the silver bullet and the effects that it has, not just on myself, but on my children as well. And that's what this first part is about. People make mistakes in life, people do things in life, and she wasn't perfect either. She also has to take accountability, which she never will. And you can't not take accountability if you're a narcissist. So, and I can. So, now we have to fast forward now to July of 2019. This woman that I had left my ex-wife for, we broke up. So my ex-wife came back into the picture, but she was in a relationship. She was trying to text me and call me all times of the night, while even her boyfriend was at work. Just simple things, just to try and butter me up, I guess, again. But, for me, it wasn't, I could see through it. So, she'd even send me money. I invited her and her boyfriend over to my apartment one time as well during this period of time, for coffee with my kids there. They were actually bringing me my kids, and, it was friendly. And then, this is July of 2019 that we're talking. So now we fast forward about, a few weeks later. I repair this relationship with the ex-girlfriend, and my ex-wife finds out, so she flips out, obviously. She's extremely pissed off. She's calling me again, texting me, telling me not to do it. This is going to fuck your life up, everything else. And the first time that I'm supposed to get the kids, I don't. She gives me an excuse that it's too hot at my apartment, so until I get an air conditioner, she's not sending the kids. Well, I got an air conditioner that night. I got the kids the next day. But for a few weeks, the games didn't end. Like, it was constant. So on August 2nd, I was in a downtown Hamilton apartment that was pretty expensive, and I decided to apply for Hamilton housing. So I'd filled out all the paperwork for Hamilton housing, where the areas that I'd like to live with the kids, and I had it all filled out. I was going to drop it off on August 6th, because in Ontario, the first Monday in August is a holiday, which would have been August 5th. So August 6th was the date that I had planned on dropping off this paperwork. Everything was signed and dated August 2nd, 2019, and I have documentation to prove that. But what happened on August 2nd is my daughter ended up going home and telling her that my ex-wife, that we were moving, which caused her to go into a rage because I think she was under the impression that I was going to be moving in with this girlfriend, and she had a daughter as well, so we'd all be moving in together. And that wasn't the case. I had the paperwork specifically signed for myself and my 2 kids. So, exactly what happens when you make, when you assume things, you make an ass out of you and me. Well, that's kind of what happened, but in a very extreme way. So later that evening, after the kids were picked up that day, that was the actual last time that I seen my kids, was August 2nd of 2019. Under any sort of supervised access or Zoom meetings. In my own care, that would have been the last date, August 2nd, 2019. Thinking about that right now is actually a very long time. So, on August 2nd, my phone started blowing up. And I know that my daughter probably told her that me and the girlfriend were going out for dinner. We had a date, so we were going out to dinner that night. She probably told her that as well. So, she was blowing up my phone, saying that there was something she needed to talk to me about, but the kids were fine. It didn't matter what time, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't buying it because at that point I knew that she was trying to play games. So I wasn't buying it. I was asking her specifically if there was anything wrong with the kids, and she told me that there was not. That they were actually at one of her friends' places for the night having a sleepover. So there was no real concern for me then. If it had nothing to do with the kids that she wasn't telling me about, then sorry, but I'm not going to play this game. And, the very last thing that she told me to do was to lawyer up. So on August 6th, which is my next scheduled pickup date for my kids, I had texted her earlier that day, asking her what time I could pick up the kids, and I wasn't getting a response. I got a response at about 12:30 that afternoon, and it's just very specific, said, meet me at the family courthouse. That's it. So I knew that something was going on because obviously the last thing she told me to do was lawyer up. So I knew something was being played, because that's what it is. Family court's a game. So I knew something was being played, and, I responded back with shaking my head when. I never got a response back. I waited about an hour, and then I sent another response asking if I was going to be getting the kids that day. And she responded about an hour later after that, simply stating no. So that was the last time I ever had conversation with her, was then. I had also sent a few text messages letting her know my mind, that I knew that she was playing this game. She was using our kids as pawns and bait to get back at me. And that's exactly what this is. This is a case about revenge. And once I get into the full details of it, you're going to really see it. And again, this is only part one. This is only one chapter of this, and there's going to be a few. So, on August 6th, then, I knew that something was going to happen. It was around 5 o'clock that evening that a bailiff from the family courthouse handed me a whole bunch of documents. So I knew, yeah, something's definitely going on. And sure enough, I was hit with a silver bullet. So again, the silver bullet is false allegations or allegations of abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, even drug use, anything that is deemed to the court severe enough that they can withhold your children until further investigation. The problem in my case is that within this documentation, there was perjury within the first line of it. And it had stated that I'd already been charged with one of these sexual assaults that I was being accused of. So in Canada, obviously, in order to be charged, you have to be arrested. And that never happened on August 6th. This was all news at this time. This was the first very time that I was reading these things, and they were vile and disgusting. And once I get into the documents that I'm about to read, you guys are going to really see the vile and disgusting behavior that some people can have to get back at you. So, you know, when I was reading these things, I was like, this isn't right. I haven't been charged. You have to be arrested. And right then and there, I knew this is going to be a long road. Like, it's over for me right now. I'm guilty before I'm proven innocent, obviously, and that's an obvious fact. That is not hyping up anything. You're guilty before you're proven innocent in these cases, and we all know this. So, you know, I was being accused of basically 8 silver bullets all at once. And the most severe is what I'm going to talk about today within the journal, is that I was being accused of sexually assaulting my daughter. And you know, that was the most vile, disgusting. It killed me that whole day. I didn't know what to do. You know, I admit that I broke down. I did have a little bit of fear at that point because I already knew what was going to happen, that this was going to be a long road. Now I got to get multiple lawyers and try and fight this. And where did this come from to begin with? Because this never happened. So where did this come from? And, you know, reading more into the documents, then I quickly found out where this came from. And this was just a fabrication on my ex-wife's part to get back at me. And it's because of all the stuff that I just previously told you guys about. You know, she was just in a jealous rage, and this was to get back at me for that. You know, and that's the only thing that she could get back at me for, is to take the kids away. And the silver bullet works, because it did in my case, and it did in many other cases around the world. So, you know, August 6th, I knew right then and there, I have to get lawyers now and fight this. So there was really no time to sit around and mope. You know, I had to go. So on August 13th, I was scheduled to go to the Hamilton Police Child Abuse Branch for this interview dealing with this allegation. And again, I had no idea where this was coming from, but I wanted to find out what exactly was going on with this, because there was a lot of information that was being withheld from me as well at that point, because I was declared a suspect. So, you know, I'm sitting there on August 13th, which is the day before my 40th birthday. And, you know, I'm sitting there not really knowing what's going on. And then a detective came out and actually told me that, you know, I wasn't I wasn't under arrest. I actually didn't even have to be interviewed that day, because the allegation was specifically dealing with my ex-wife claiming that I did this, but my daughter had never even said that I did, which she was telling the truth. And I thank my daughter every day for telling the truth that day and not falling into the lies that her mother was trying to pull that day. And we're going to get into that in just a second. So, you know, this detective said, well, you know, they're still here, but you don't have to, I don't have to interview you today. But I wanted to be interviewed. I wanted to know what was going on. So they arranged for me to be interviewed with the child CAS, which is the Children's Aid Society here in Canada, or sorry, in Ontario. So yeah, you know, I wanted to be interviewed. My ex-wife was stalling that interview. I was supposed to be there at 4 o'clock. It was a little bit after 4 when my interview started. But I'm now going to read the letter, basically, which was the verbatim. I'm going to leave out names, but this is what this detective was going to state on this case about that day. And this is why I wanted to stay to find out what was going on. So I'm going to read this. And again, you know, this may trigger some people. I do apologize, but this is very important for the Silver Bullet stories to make sense, is to give the details and the documentation. And for me, this was actually my golden bullet in the end. Once we get there, you'll find out why. So again, I'm going to leave out names to protect not my ex-wife, but to protect my children. I'm a police officer for the city of Hamilton and have so been employed since January of 1995. I currently hold the rank of sergeant and have been assigned as detective in the Victims of Crime Unit Child Abuse Branch. In August 2019, I was working in that capacity. On August 7th, 2019, I was assigned an investigation for follow-up where a mother was reporting that her daughter had been sexually assaulted by her ex. I contacted the mother by phone. I had conversation with the mother, during which she admitted that there had been no disclosures from her daughter regarding the father. The mother also stated that she believed that the father was molesting their daughter because the father was sexually assaulted by his uncle. The mother then went on to detail that she had been raped by the father and explained that she had medical proof. She reported being angry that the father dumped her by text message and that he is now dating her friend. The mother got extremely angry when talking about the father and the girlfriend. I advised her that she could file a report with the sexual assaults with the SAU. Arrangements were made for the mother to bring her daughter to CAB for an interview on August 13th, 2019 at 1:30 p.m. I contacted the suspect in the matter and arranged for him to attend the CAB at 4 p.m. on the same day for an interview. On August 13th, 2019, I conducted a video interview with the daughter at 1:45 p.m. The daughter wanted to take a break during the interview and see her mother. The mother took her daughter for a walk to calm her down. During that time, I conducted a brief interview with the son at 2:27 p.m. That interview concluded at 2:52 p.m. At 2:52 p.m., I continued the interview with the daughter. During the daughter's interview, there were no disclosures of inappropriate conduct regarding her father, and she advised that her journal entries were in relation to another boy. Following the interviews, I spoke with the mother. She seemed disappointed that her daughter did not disclose abuse at her father's hands. I'm going to choke up. Sorry. I challenged her about her disappointment, and she became angry, stating that she was going to do her own thing, and this is in quotations. The mother was offered a letter for family court by the CAS. However, she declined it. I attempted to discuss the possibility of follow-up with the 12-year-old boy that the daughter stated was responsible. However, the mother did not acknowledge me and continued to say what a monster the father was. I told the mother she could discuss matters further over the phone because the father would be attending the appointment at 4 p.m. She stalled the conversation and caused it to run into the time Richard would be attending. I arranged for the father to attend the back hallway and waited until the mother left to avoid them running into each other. I conducted a video interview with the father, during which he advised that he partly knew about what this party that this daughter was talking about. However, it would not have been possible for her to have been assaulted in the location she described, as the scene was not enclosed and it would not have been easily be seen by witnesses. Richard also advised that his kids were around him all day and that his daughter did not go off on her own. CAS offered the father a letter for family court and he accepted. I concluded my investigations as unfounded, as the daughter advised it was not her father who had sexually assaulted her, and her father advised that the sexual assault could not have happened as described. This concludes my involvement. So as you can see, that's very difficult to read. Every single time I do, it chokes me up. But it's the reason why that I fight so hard. Because somebody went to that vile, despicable road to destroy. And they didn't just destroy me. That's going to destroy my daughter forever. Whether or not it was true or not, that was tried to put in her head that happened, and it did not happen. As you just read from a police detective of 25 years, she had my back on this. My biggest problem is that this woman walked out of that police station that day with no charges against her for what she was doing. And she literally told the police And that's why it's quoted in this document. She threatened the police that day that she was going to do her own thing. And that's going to be part 2 of this story, is doing her own thing. But, you know, the journal that we're talking about was not a journal specifically that a kid would have as, you know, writing down things. This journal was actually not even a journal. You know, my daughter was very artistic, and she liked to draw things. That's how she got her emotions out, and I respect that. I actually pushed her towards that. You know, I'm artistic too, and my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was as well. So that was something that, you know, we pushed her into. My ex-wife went ahead and used this against her as well. You know, this journal wasn't per se a journal. These were drawings of a child that was drawing something that she's seen on YouTube, which is a series called Gotcha Life. And, you know, as her father, I knew exactly what this was, so I could refer to it. And this is an exact reference to that series on YouTube. But my ex-wife tried to pass this off as a journal that was sexually explicit in nature, to fabricate this journal. And the fact, you know, my daughter is a little bit dyslexic, and, you know, it's not really word legible, but as her father, I know what it says by looking at the pattern of the drawing. I know exactly what this says. But my ex-wife fabricated this to try and push her story that day that I had sexually assaulted my own daughter, which is despicable, vile. It makes me sick to my stomach. I get emotional about it. But I don't want to really show everybody the actual document, but the document is here. I'm going to describe the document to everybody. This is my daughter's document. I want to respect her on that fact. You know, she shouldn't have had anything to do with this. But again, you know, my ex-wife put her in this situation, using her as pawn and bait, like a lot of these parents do, as the silver bullet tactic. So, you know, this drawing is a drawing of kids that are happy. There's a sun. It says LOL, so they're laughing. There's an A plus with a paper, so that's a, you know, a report card. There's a school bus. There's another child. Now what the words say is not legible. Nobody would really be able to make it out unless you were their parent. And what it says is back to school now. But what my ex-wife did to fabricate this is she reinterpreted this and wrote Dick Too Good. And I'm not lying. This is on this page right there. It says Dick Too Good. I kind of did show it there, but you know, it does say that. This is the fabrication part that she tried to push, to say that these drawings were sexually explicit, and this was the reason why that he was sexually assaulting our daughter, which was completely fabricated. None of that ever happened. And the fact that she used that I had been sexually assaulted as a child against me to try and push that day is despicable. And she should have been charged that day. So on part 2 of the Silver Bullet stories, I am going to talk about what she did when she described her own thing. So I do appreciate everybody's time today. Look forward to hearing some feedback on this. And I hope this answers some questions, and I hope that this story can actually help somebody out there come forward with their own story. So stay strong, everybody. Keep your head up always, and keep fighting for our kids.